Oh hey guys, welcome to my channel, welcome to my stream, welcome to another chapter working on that guy there. That is our 1969, that's a 1969 Dodge Charger, and we're turning that into the General Lee from the TV show Dukes of Hazzard. I'm going to run the intro, we'll get into it, okay? Okay, so we're back and we're starting with a new episode. This is episode 4, I think. It might be even 5. I don't even know anymore. I've lost track. So, last time we got our interior assembled. And at least most 99% of it. And also we did a little bit of stripping last time. Remember that? Did some stripping? Yes. And here it is. Here's our stripped sprue. Let me change the camera here and you can have a look at it. So after about maybe, I want to say 4 hours in that, in the oven off, yeah, she kind of looks like this. This is just plastic with remnants of whatever that chrome stuff was, whatever they do to it. That's what it looks like. It comes out looking kind of crappy, right? Doesn't look very good. So what I did is I primered our wheels and our front grille section and our rear bumper and also our little gear shifter. And I did a little chrome trim, did a little chrome on our gear shifter there. You can see our license plate, you can see where its charger is on there. Now, one thing that I figured, you know, after looking at this sprue, I was like, where's the side view mirror? Where's the side view mirror on this thing? So I look in the kit and I'm looking on the instructions. Side view mirror. There isn't a side view mirror on this car. What the heck? Like, come on, MPC. There's no side view mirror. There isn't even a rear view mirror. How are the Dukes ever gonna see Roscoe P. Coltrane behind them without a rear view mirror? Like, come on. Come on. You know, and I was looking at, you know, I built Dom's 1970 Dodge Charger from Fast and the Furious. That thing's got mirrors in it. What the heck? What the heck? So, yeah, I don't know why they didn't put mirrors in this kit. I'm guessing this is an old tooling, like from the 80s or something like that, and they just, you know, those little details didn't really matter back then. I don't know, but I'm disappointed. I'm just disappointed. I'm really disappointed in them because they didn't put mirrors on this thing. Anyway, so I got to redo the chrome on this. I'll do those later because I want to start getting some assembly done on this thing, and it seems like I'm doing all this prep, and I haven't even gotten so far as like finishing step 3. You know what I mean? It just seems like I've been doing all this prep and painting and stuff like that, and I haven't actually done any assembly. So I want to do some assembly today. I want to actually get something done on this kit, okay? So let's put our black sprue aside. I'll show you. So I went and I went and 3D printed myself some side view mirrors for this kit. They're pretty good, reasonable facsimile to a 1969 Dodge Charger rearview mirror. I'll put a link to my cults page down below in the description box, and you can check them out and see those. You also, if you go on my cults page, you also see the CB radio that I made. I'm also selling that on cults as well. If you're interested, if you want to do that, yeah. So you could do that if you feel like it. Yeah, if you feel like it, do it. Just do it. You know, even if you don't, just do it. Do it. No. Yeah. Anyway, let's get into this thing. I'm gonna change the camera and let's actually do some assembly. So, you know, obviously our engine's assembled. It's done, right? Step 2 or step 3 actually is to start working on the chassis. So I've got my chassis here. So I spray painted this. I can't remember if I showed you guys. I spray painted this. I primered it all with the Mr. Surfacer primer. Then I took a little bit of silver. Actually, I think it was the X11 chrome silver, and I dry brushed it on to give it a little bit of a silvery tinge. You see, if I catch it in the right light, it kind of looks a little metallic-y. But then I was thinking, you know what? This is a 1969 Dodge Charger, and it sure is not going to be all nice and bright and shiny. So I added a little bit of some dark rust wash from Vallejo, their Mecca line. That's this one, 69.507 if you're interested. That's the dark rust wash, okay? And I did that kind of over some of the spots there in the silver to give it a little bit of a slight rusty tinge. Of course, it doesn't really cover very well in the black, but you get that little bit of just a little hint of, you know, it's not brand new on there. It gives that kind of a little bit, you might see there's a little slight tinge of a yellowish, not quite black, not quite silver look to it. And just to give it that kind of, it's aged, it's been, you know, it's dirty. Or not really dirty, but it's not brand new anyway. So I did similar little thing to our leaf springs rear axle. Painted the exhaust and painted the drive shaft. I decided to do the drive shaft in a light gunmetal just to make it different and stand out a little bit. Okay, and that's that. So next step, we gotta find part number 36. I think that was the one that looks kind of like a weird looking battery. I don't know what the heck it is. I still don't know because nobody's commented and told me what it is. Even though I asked you guys to let me know what that part is, nobody has told me squat. So, yeah, I don't know what this part is. I don't know why I'm putting it on here. I don't know what detail it is. I do know that it's got a lot of flash on it and it looks like garbage. So let's see if we can clean up our lines here a little bit, make these a little straighter. Just because it looks horrible. You know, I did see a guy in one of the Facebook groups I'm a member of, or a member I follow. He posted up some pictures of his 1969 Dodge Charger. He didn't do it as a General E, he just did it as a generic Charger, and did a really good job, especially considering the way this kit is. He did a really good job. It looks really nice. I did notice when you put the actual normal engine in, these, I guess the angle of our exhaust manifolds come in tighter and they match much better on these as it goes over the, he got them almost touching, but as you can see, even mine are just nowhere near touching. I'm gonna have to work that out later. But he got them to match pretty close. Okay, so this thing is supposed to go down onto this little slot here. I just don't know which direction it's supposed to go with all the... If I didn't know better, I think this was 3D printed, the way that it's got all these little... It looks like remnants of supports on the inside of it. From when it was printed. That's what it looks like. It's really looks gnarly in there. Like I said, I don't know which direction it's really supposed to go. It probably doesn't really matter, although one side does seem to be molded in a much shallower, like it's not straight down, it's kind of on an angle going into it. I'm guessing that's, I don't know. I'm guessing. Again, I'm guessing. I'm just guessing this whole thing. I guess it's supposed to sit like that. Right? With all my guessing, this is what I'm guessing at. Okay. That's my guess right there. Let's get some glue. I'm going to put glue actually in here and on this part. Like that. I'm just going to do this and drop that down while it's trying to decide what to do. And just kind of give that a bit of a squeeze, I guess, and kind of say, hey, that's on there. maybe. Let's see if I can get in here. It's one of those things, you know, I've painted it all already, and so I don't want to get sudden glossy glue marks on there. Okay, so now we're going to drop in our axle assembly, axle and rear shocks. So we've kind of test fit this a couple of times already in getting this in here. You just got to line up all your little holes. Get all your holes lined up on here. There we go. Exhaust is in that hole. And so the exhaust, yeah, it kind of hits, but I could, if I really squeeze, I could really push that up in there. So it's a matter of like, how low are my exhaust pipes supposed to hang? Because I don't know. I don't know. So I'm going to glue in this side first. At least our leaf springs, and I'll just do the from this side. It's the easiest way to do it. Because this way it doesn't matter how messy you are with the glue. Because it's not going to show on this side. It is very interesting to me that we've got two holes for our steel rod that's for our axle. We got two holes on the front and the rear, almost like you can do a 4x4 version or you can do a slammed version. They do show you in the instructions. They show you in the instructions putting the axle through the lower, I guess, well, technically what would be the upper hole, the slammed hole, if that's what you want to call it. The hole that would tuck the tires up into the wheel wells more. Okay, so let's work on this side now. Get this in. There we go. Still kind of holding the other side because. Like my wife said, when you don't have an answer, you say because. And yeah, that's kind of true. Okay, so just hold on to those for a sec. I think this side's already in there pretty good. This side kind of wants to lift out, so I'm just going to hold it. And technically I could grab like a little clip or something like that, one of these guys, but that might be too much. Like even this light clip might be a little too much power for this thin little leaf spring. I don't want to put a clip on here and warp it. We can worry about the exhaust pipes later once we got it. This one seems to definitively be an idiot. Really? Be an idiot? It's definitively being an idiot? Well, yeah, because my axle wants to fool around in the hole here. Just gonna have to hold that for a minute. Okay? So, since I gotta wait a minute, I might as well have a sip of my drink here. My drink. Okay. Seems to be holding, I think. Are we holding now? No, we're not. We're not holding. What's the matter with you? This side holds fine. You don't want to hold for some reason. Well, if I put a clamp here, that should be okay, actually. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to put a clamp right here. Right there, right in the middle of the leaf spring. Right there. And that's going to let that sit in the spot where it needs to be. This side's fine. I got no issue with this side. It's this side that is not being nice. But while I'm doing it, since it is making contact with that big step right in there, I might as well glue that. And therefore glue it on this side too. There we go. Still don't know what that box is. That box tucks right underneath that muffler there. And I don't know why. I really don't know why. Okay, so with that done, they want me to put the axle through and put the tires on, but I can't, right? Because I don't even have my wheels painted yet. So that's not going to happen. What we can do, we could put the engine in. Now that we've got this done, I can put my engine in and actually get the engine mounted in the car. And put the engine in its new home, right? Now we already know the drive shaft's going to line up, and I need to basically drop it right onto the front here, where my fan is kind of almost hitting the frame, but my crank pulley is definitely hitting. And I think that's going to be my 2 points of contact, right? The drive shaft and the front crank pulley. You can't see underneath where the pulley is, so that's perfect. But as far as the rest, yeah, that's really the only 2 contact points. This being a resin engine, I'm going to need to use CA glue. I can't use regular hobby glue. So, let's get some CA glue ready. Let's put this down. Close up this glue because I don't need it for a little bit now. And let's get my glue dispenser, get my really sad CA glue. I say sad because it's on its way out. And it's glued the lid shut again, and it won't. So this is done. This is done now. Bye-bye. Fortunately, I do have some of my VMS Flexi 5K CA. This is extra thin, but even this has been sitting for so long that it's not that thin. It is still pretty thin, but it's more like a medium thickness. It's not thick either. It's kind of in between. Kind of in between. So my CA glue sits for so long because I don't use it. You guys obviously know I don't use my CA glue that much. So I'm going to put a bunch on the bottom of my crank pulley here, and I'm tempted to even put some on the bottom of my fan blade. Another thing I need to do is change my glasses. Okay, that's better. So, bottom of the crank pulley, right in there, and I really should do it on the tip of the drive shaft rather than trying to put it on this hole, but it's okay. Alright, that should be enough. I want to put some actually on the frame where the crank touches. Right there. Let's get her put in place. This stuff has a, you know, it's like regular CA glue, but this stuff gives you, you know, an extra second to play around with things and get things put where they need to be. Now, I should have put some in there where the transmission touches the cross member, That would have been a better thing. I might be able to get some down in there. If I can get underneath my transmission with my... and then just hold that. That might work. Let's see if I can get in here. As you can see, my exhaust doesn't line up at all, and even if I do get these there, I still don't have them actually connecting to our exhaust pipes, which I'm going to have to do something about. What exactly I'm going to do about it, I don't know yet. My engine doesn't seem to be sitting centered. It seems when I try and get it centered, it wants to flop. I think I'm actually touching the frame under here. And it could be where it's touching and not actually touching on the crank like I thought it was. I'm going to pull this out since I'm not really glued in anyway. Let's put some on our frame here. It seems like it's making contact with the oil pan here. Which is great, because that's a better thing for me. And now it gives me a chance to get some proper amount of glue under there. And let's put this back in. Kind of centered there. It's a little bit better. I'm tempted to put a drop or two of the accelerator on there. Let's grab that stuff. I hate doing that. I don't like spraying this stuff. I'd much prefer to just doing the dropper method and let it do its thing that way. I don't know if I have any still on the drive shaft. That's too much. Blowing on it does help dry it. See, did that work? That seems to have done the trick. Our engine is in. The engine is in, guys. We've got it in there. Now I have it sitting, I'll tilt it up here and look at the camera. I have it just above, it's pretty level. Our carbs are sticking up just a little bit. That is going to be a little bit of a problem with the hood later on. Let's see. Can I take my clamp off? Yep, that's all glued in and solid now. Yay. Okay. So, with that done, our exhaust pipes. Now, they're a little bit of a weird thing. I was originally thinking of taking just some round styrene, melt it a little bit, make it a bend, and just kind of have it go over top of that, And so I did that. I cut a couple of things. I melted it down and I bent them a little bit. And yeah, it's much longer than what I really need. But I was thinking, okay, so I'll just do that little bit of a bend and I can have it go over top of the frame. But now that I'm looking at this, I got this pipe. This pipe lines up pretty good and pretty straight with that one. I think I could just use just a regular straight piece to put in there. This one, however, I'm going to have to put up like this, or I could try, I can melt this down and bend it down because I don't have it at the same height. You can see they're not quite the same height, right? They're a little wonky. So I would like to heat this one up and bend it down a little bit, because if I bend it without heating it up, it's going to put too much stress and I might wind up breaking the bond on the head. And then of course, now that the engine is in there, that's just going to create more problems. So let's start off by getting a little piece of styrene in there and gluing that in. So I can start with this. I want this a little bit better as far as roundness. A little bit more. I see guys doing this all the time. Just rolling them to get it straight. It didn't really work for me. Doing the rolling thing. I see guys doing that, especially A4 Garage. He does that all the time with his brass parts. He rolls it like, and then flings it away. He doesn't do that. Let's try this again. Roll it. Did that work? Not really. Okay, I got a pretty good spot there. So, how long do I need it? If I take this, measure that up. Right about there. Okay, cut that off. This, and we're too short. Good job, not. So attempt number 2. I'm just going to take this. Get it side by each. Of course, now I've got an edge here that's not straight. Let's just do this. Okay. Still not straight because I don't know how to do a straight cut. I don't seem to have the ability to do a straight cut. Let's just line this up that much longer. Okay. Let's see if we can. How close am I now? Pretty good. I think that's good enough that I can put some glue on it. And once it's glued in, I can use a little bit of putty to fill in the little gap. So on the edge there, on the edge here. Okay. Now, which piece was it? Was it this one? Yeah. How come you fit before? Don't fit now. There we go. Okay, so I can put a piece of putty on there, a little bit of putty once that's cured, and we can deal with that later. We're gonna have to bend this one out, so I need to heat that up. I gotta find my torch. Okay, let's try and heat only the pipe. That's not the pipe. There we go. All right. Pipe's got a little bit of a bend in it now. I accidentally hit the heat right here on the edge of the frame, but that's okay. So I can flex this one out here, and that's all right. And look at this piece that I made too short is actually going to be pretty darn close to exactly what I need here. I just need to shave off that extra little lip right here. And I think that's good to go. So, I need glue on the tip of this pipe. Glue here. And then glue on the tip of this pipe. Our new pipe is going to go in right here. Come on. Just like that. I'm just going to hold this for a sec, let the glue do its thing. Add a little bit more. To just make sure. I'm going to use my accelerant. There we go. There we go. Exhaust pipes connected. I want to add a little bit more glue to this one just because it's looking a little off. And then I'll do the same thing. A little bit of extra help to dry it up. All right, there we go. Exhaust pipes connected. Best viewer, shut up. Get off my channel, spam bots. Okay. Everything seems to be connected and seems to be happy. Obviously, I need to paint those little two tips because, well, having sudden white pieces in the exhaust pipes is kind of weird. But engine is holding. I think I could actually hold the whole kit up. Hey, how about that? Holding it up by the engine. Done. Okay. Our pipes obviously don't look very connected on this side, but that don't really matter too much because there's going to be a firewall going in somewhere around here like this, or here, and you're not going to see it because this firewall is going to go in like right about here-ish, right? Something like that. I think it's going to sit right like that, actually. Just like that. and you ain't never gonna see where they connect. So who cares? So yay. That's good for that. Done, done, done. Okay, so now that the engine is in, the other thing we can do under the hood, we gotta do the battery, and I haven't painted the battery yet, but we can put the rad in. I got the rad all done. Remember, I added a couple of pieces of styrene to get the rad sitting a little more forward. I did a little bit of paint on the top of the rad there, and we're going to do a little test fit here. It should fit, and it does, just like that. And it's just barely touching the fan. Now, in testing with how it's going to sit in the body, I think I've got lots of room to play with. If I just tuck this in here, like this, like that, even if I go all the way forward, I believe I've got lots of room as far as where this needs to go to give clearance for the fan, right? Even if I wanted to add another piece of styrene, I think I could. If I needed my rad to go out further, I think I could. That being said, though, the only thing that could block the rad would be our front grill slash bumper. So let me just take that off here, and let's just do a test fit of this part before I commit to gluing that rad in, because I know this goes back in there pretty deep, right? So that's going to be our limitation, really, is how this sits in there. It's going to sit something like that. So that tells me the rad could potentially go all the way like this, as far forward as that. I could put like a good, I don't know, 3 to 5 millimeters more of a bigger block in there if I needed. I don't need to, but I could. That tells me how much clearance I have anyway. So let's just get this out of here now. This also tells me how this is going to fit in here, which is not very good. Just the fit is really, like, the fit is kind of garbage. It's not garbage, but it's not the greatest either. Yeah, anyway, so that's that. So we can put the rad in. I'm going to get my other glue. The rad's basically just these two side spots, and then it's got these tiny little posts, and that's it. So that is literally all that holds the rad in. So I'll just try and get it centered as best as I can, and it actually does just touch the fan, but I'm pretty sure if I just hold it here for a sec, it's going to be fine. It's not enough of a pressure on the fan that it's going to be anything bad. And I mean, realistically, if I really don't, yeah, it doesn't really want to hold. So I am gonna move it. I'm gonna grab another piece of styrene, and I'm gonna change that. So let me get. I don't think I have any spare out right now. So, oh yes, I do. I got some right here. Some left over. So I'm just gonna double it up, just like that. Double that up, cut that off. Okay, double up this side. Having the glue on there already makes this easy. There we go. And then we'll cut that off. There. Just trim it off so it's smooth. There we go. All right. Let's re-glue this. And there we go, no longer hitting the fan. It's no longer hitting the fan, guys. No longer hitting the fan. Just like that. Now, if you're doing the stock engine that comes with the kit, obviously you don't have this problem, but this is the issue with doing aftermarket resin engines and stuff like that. You run into these kind of issues. So there we go. The rad is in. The battery I'm going to have to paint before I can do that. So obviously I got to do the battery at a later date. That's going to go down on the side here. So the next step, obviously, assemble the interior and then work on the body. But, well, we've got a whole bunch of stuff to do yet, right? Got a whole bunch to do yet. So there's the firewall goes just right against the body. The interior bucket. Let's see if there's actually any proper lining up of anything. No, there's nothing to say, hey, this is exactly where it sits. So you're just guessing. You're just guessing that it lines up with the top here. There's no channel, there's no pins, there's absolutely nothing. You're all on your own as far as that goes. You could go, hey, let's put the body in here, but that doesn't really help you either, because you have what looks to be pegs here, and yet there's no holes for those pegs here. It kind of does sit in kind of this little channel here, like that. See that? Or this little channel has this little lip right there. That kind of hits the front of that peg there, but that's it. That's your only indication of where it's actually going to sit. I really don't know. The better indication of where this firewall goes is this lip, this little thing sticking out right here, and here on this firewall or fender well. That kind of drops in between them right there, like that. But that is literally the only thing that might, you know, but at the same time it's not a great fit. It doesn't fit both sides equally. And it doesn't have the same curve. There's a big gap. There is a big gap. If I put the interior there, and I just put this against the interior, this, just kind of hold it up like that. The interior just kind of sandwiches it in there, like that. So there we have a possible placement just like that. If we get the body, tuck that in there. Of course, the body. Yeah. kind of have to have things glued together and then put the body on and then let it all set, let the glue dry with it all in. And that's kind of where you're at. So that is something I'll have to do later. So let's get our gear shift. Before I go, let's get our gear shifter in place. It's kind of ironic, you know, I don't remember the General Lee ever being a standard transmission. I don't remember Bo and Luke banging through the gears on the General Lee. I'm pretty sure the General Lee was an automatic. Of course you don't fit. Of course you don't fit. Because of course we have flashing on our tube. It's actually flashing on the shifter itself too. So I'm going to have to scrape this all off, and I'm going to have to reapply the chrome because I don't like all the flashing on this. Let's get that in there. Now it fits better as it falls off to the side. My hole here has some restrictions to it for some reason. It looks like paint maybe, actually. Let's try this one more time. One more time. Get in there. You just don't want to go all the way through. You know what it is? What it is we've got the two pieces of the center console and the hole doesn't line up all properly. The hole in the actual part of the body, the tub, doesn't line up with the hole in my foot. Open that hole up and see if we can. There we go. We got her. We got her. Okay. So she's in. Let me grab my knife. Okay. So shifter's in. We're going to glue it from the bottom. So we won't have to worry about that. And then I'm going to take my little chrome pen and just do that little top part of the shifter again that I have to scrape away. Probably should have done this before putting it in the cockpit, in the console. But it's okay. All right. There you have it. Now I purposely put it off to the side, facing the driver. Although technically I should put it in the neutral position, but that's okay. So Dukes get to bang through the gears in their General Lee on this particular version, and yeah, that's what we're going to go with. Is yeah. So our interior is now officially done. Although I was looking at this thing, and you know what? They didn't even bother molding in any pedals. There's no pedals down in there. There's nothing. There's nothing against the floor here, nothing against the wall. Zero pedals at all. So I'm gonna make some. I'm gonna make pedals. I'm gonna grab this styrene. I'm gonna make a throttle pedal. Let's make an accelerator pedal right now. What do you think? Roughly that tall. should be this wide. That might be too wide. Maybe that's a little too tall too. Is that better? Does that look more like a proper size of the pedal? Something like that, I think, would be better. And I can just kind of tuck that down in there. And then at least we've got something that looks like we're going to be, you know, like we actually got something there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shave this edge down a little bit. I'm going to chamfer this just to give a little bit of a illusion that the pedal is actually off the floor. I'm going to give this a quick little coat. I don't want to use paint because I have to wait for it to dry, so I'm going to use Sharpie. I don't normally use Sharpie, you guys know that. I don't like Sharpies. It's like, I think Sharpie is a lazy thing to do. But in this case, since I am a little bit pressed for time, I'm going to do this edge. I just don't want any white showing. This edge. And we'll do the top. Okay. Okay, we've got a black accelerator pedal. Okay, so I want to have this side that I did that chamfer on, I want that to be facing the door. Let's take a little bit of glue, a little drop of glue, this stuff here. And just put a little dab on the back of it here. And let's put that in a rough spot that the accelerator pedal would be. Right about there. Let's adjust the positioning a little bit. Just throw my glasses away. Just trying to get this into a position that looks relatively normal. There we go. We've got a throttle pedal. Now, we can do a similar thing with the brake. A little bit of an adjustment here. So this edge is already kind of like this. You know, the brake pedals are always a little bit of an angle on them, like that. Let's just do this one like that too. Should I do the automatic brake pedal or do a brake and a clutch? The car is a 4-speed. Let's do a brake and a clutch. They're pretty much going to be the same size, same thing. Kind of like that. Okay. But they need to have like some kind of little arms on them or something. And I can use this offcut right here. And maybe this one too. To kind of look like the actual arms coming off of the thing. Problem is, my tweezers don't hold where the beams. There we go. I'm going to add a little bit of this stuff. Just because. Okay, we'll let that sit for a second. Okay, we'll get this one. A little bit of glue there. And grab this little sliver. The little slivers are great for this stuff. Okay. And that's that. 2 petals kind of assembled. Now this is going to be a little bit harder to get in there with Sharpie, so I'm going to actually paint this one. But I'm not going to use what am I going to hold on to this with? That is a big question, isn't it? There we go. I'm going to just dip my knife in there. And kind of dab a little bit of paint on that. This Mr. Surfacer will dry pretty quickly for me, which is nice, but why are you gonna do this to me? There we go. Top of that, otherwise it's going to show. Okay, let's put this down and let that dry for a minute. Of course, the paint wants to stay forever. Now this little guy. You guys know I don't normally show this painting stuff on my channel, but kind of want to get this done so we can move on. This is just one of those little details that, you know, only you know it's there, but at the same time you know it's there. Maybe nobody else is going to notice it. You don't know. Sitting on your shelf or something like that, a month, a year, 2 years from now, you may totally forget that you did this detail on there. And you may pick it up and go, oh yeah, I remember doing that now. Then again, you may not pick it up for a year. And even then when you do pick it up, you totally forgot about it. You never know, right? Okay. All sides painted on that pedal. And of course it just wants to stick to my tools. There we go. See? Paint when it's not dry is sticky. Let go of it. Okay. Alright. So of course, because it's paint, I've got to wait a minute. I have to wait a little minute for this. I think I can probably get away with putting some glue on our one pedal, the first one, and get that one kind of put in place. I think. So if I take this, put it in that position there, and then glue on the back. And of course, my tweezers pick one little spot on it that it wants to stick to. Really, you piece of crap, stop sticking to the tweezers. Okay, one pedal in. Now, I do this, put it in my fingers so that maybe it won't stick. Or I can drop it on the floor and just lose it all together. Losing the thing altogether is an option. I need a light. Yeah, guys, apparently losing it really is an option. Yeah. Well, you guys get the idea, right? There's pedals in there now. You get a slight little idea that there's something in there. If I can get the light in there. Maybe I can't. Let me try this. Let's try this. Boom, here's some light. I got light. Do I have focus? See the pedals in there? Can you see the pedals in there? No. As you can see, just tons of shadow. Sorta, kinda. What a pain in the neck to try and get light in there. How about there? You can see them up there. See those pedals right there? Yeah, it's really hard to see them, but there's something in there. It's hard to even show you guys the freaking pedals that I just put in there. Yes, frustrating as all heck. That's where I'm going to leave it, guys. I'm done for the day. I don't care so much about finding that other pedal. It's gone. Oh well. Yeah. So what? That's it. Okay? That's it for pedals. The interior's done. It's done. It's done. That's it for the interior. Done. It's done. Done. Okay? Interior's done. Engine is in where it goes. I got more stuff to do. I'm gonna have to do some stuff on the body and get the body a lot more prepared for paint. that's kind of what it needs to do. That's going to be next time. And working on the battery, got to get that painted, and also got to get our chrome bit. I don't like the super huge ejector pin marks on the back of my grill, but fortunately they don't really get seen, do they? Even the molding for the top of this is not that smooth. We've got crazy lines going on. It's just not very good, not good quality. Yeah. This is where I'm going to leave it today, guys. This is going to call it done for the day. I want to thank you guys for watching. I want to thank you for all the support, new subscribers. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Yeah, like I said before, you can check out my cults page. I'll leave a link down in the description box below there, so you can check that out if you want. I don't have a lot on there. I got just a couple of things that I've made and put up for sale, and I got a couple things for free too. Other things that are like super cheap, like maybe a 5 cents or something like that. Just little things. So yeah, like I said already, and I'm kind of taking my time getting to it, is that this is where I'm leaving it for today. And I want to thank you guys for watching and coming out and joining me on this process, and we're going to see you all in the next one.